Have you been trying to manifest the life of your dreams, but don't really understand why the little tricks and tips aren't working? If so, I think I may have something for you today. And the best part is the biggest trick is to just be your authentic self. Who is that? How do we know how to do that? Don't worry, I'm going to get into all of those details and leave you with some action steps. So just hang out and we'll get there. I'm Melissa. I am here with all things authentic self, untangling indoctrination, living authentically, and I can't wait to share this insight with you. Thank you for being here. So first of all, we all wear these masks, right? We have these masks that, it starts early in life. We're told, to be nice or to be kind or to be likable, that we need to do these certain things. And so we stop living in our truth, our full authentic truth, and we start putting on all these masks so that we can survive and get through this life, right? And the thing is that as we grow into adults and start living our lives, we don't realize that we're wearing masks. We believe that these things are us, and we don't understand why our manifestations aren't finding us and why we aren't finding the things that we're looking for. And the reality is that when you're wearing masks, the people and the things that are meant for you that you're calling in, they can't find you. When you show up as your authentic self, then those people and places and things that are seeking you, then they're able to find you. So an example of this is say you are a redhead and you're loud and you're opinionated and you're adventurous and you are looking for a mate. So you go to this party where all the people are and your mate is there. The person who would be an excellent match for you is there. But you dyed your hair blonde and you've become very demure and started acting in all these ways that you feel that you need to be in order to attract your mate. But the thing is your mate is going to be attracted to the loud, opinionated redhead. But when they get to the party, they can't find the loud, opinionated redhead because you're showing something else. So they don't see you. They can't find you. And so it's just an example. It's that's how it is for our manifestations. When we put things out to the universe and we say, oh, I want this, I want that. Well, those things are looking for the authentic you, and the things that are meant for you in this life are looking for you, but they can't find you if you're not showing up authentically. And another thing about that is clarity. We need to have clarity in our vibration and our energy and what we're asking for in order for the universe to deliver to us. And when we don't know who our authentic self is, when we haven't uncovered that, then we're not even clear on what we really want. A lot of times what we think we want is just what we've been told that we should want. For example, I grew up in the evangelical church. And I grew up thinking, I wanted to marry a man who was very involved in the church and have, the white picket fence and this certain lifestyle. Well, that isn't authentic to me. So putting that out there, it's not going to attract my truth or what's really authentically meant for me, because that isn't authentic with who I am. And once I started undoing the indoctrination, discovering who I really am, then it became very clear to me that is not at all what I want in my life. So just having that clarity and showing up authentically is really, really important for attracting things that we want, but also for those things to be able to find us. It's just you go into a job interview and you're trying to give them what you think that they want, but what they were looking for was somebody different, somebody that was out of the box, that's resume was different than all the other ones that they were receiving. So a lot of times, what the world is looking for always is our uniqueness. It's our unique gifts and talents and ideas that are ours, that if we're hiding those things, or we're not even aware that we're hiding those things, then we're not putting them out there. So we're not going to find the things that are a match for that true authenticity. And if you often find yourself in situations, you're like, why aren't the circumstances that I'm in aligning with me? Why do these misaligned people and jobs and all these situations keep finding me? And it's because they're finding the mask that you're putting out there. They're finding what you're projecting out there, not what you truly are. They're responding to what you're emanating, right? I remember my friendships for so long, like over and over again. I would make these friends, usually like the cool girl of the clique or whatever, and I would be super giving and understanding and supportive, and I was always there and just like really, really, keeping my big opinions to myself and being agreeable and trying to be all these things that they wanted so that I could be liked and accepted into these friend groups. But it always ended up crashing and burning. It always ended up with me finally getting, to a point where I couldn't hold back my authentic self any longer, and it starts to come out. And when it does, then they reject me because I am not what they were looking for. They were looking for a sidekick, not an equal. And when I start becoming an equal, then they reject me, and then I feel used. And I'm like, why do I keep attracting these people? It's because I wasn't showing up as my full authentic truth. And so I continue to create the circumstance. It's the same with jobs. I've had so many different careers and jobs in my life, like more than 60, actually. Like, wrote them down one day, and I was great at all of them except one. I was a terrible pizza delivery person. I have a horrible sense of direction. Even in my hometown where I grew up, everybody's pizza was cold. They hated it. But that's the one job I can say I really did not excel at. But in most of my jobs, I was promoted quickly and given accolades, employee of the month, all the things. But because I was showing up as this subservient, like obedient person who's just trying to fit in and be what they wanted me to be, it never lasted. Because my authentic self was always, I have a very strong, powerful energy, I have a very strong truth, and my authentic self is always going to come to the surface. So either I would get fired, or, which, didn't happen that often. What would usually happen was that I would just get fed up and quit. And so, again, it wasn't aligning with me, and I felt like a failure and like there was something wrong with me because these situations weren't working. But they weren't working because they weren't meant to work, because they were not aligned with my authentic truth. And the more you discover and let out that authentic truth, the more the things that aren't in alignment are going to start to show up and fall away in one way or the other. I encourage you, like, where in your life do you see recurring themes? Do you see in your friendships or your relationships, in your romantic relationships or in your business relationships, in any part of your life where you see the same situation is coming up over and over again, or where you feel exhausted or used or underappreciated? And you can trace those back to unaddressed needs and inauthentic behaviors. When you really get down to the core of it, it's all coming from a place that is not your truth, because your truth is going to attract to you what is in alignment with that truth. And that's the thing. It's like when we start dating, you want to be agreeable, and we can often go into these like people pleaser modes, and I don't have needs, and I'm super easygoing, and I'm the cool girl, and I love sports, and I play video games and all these things, trying to be what you think that person wants. And that may work with the wrong person, but your match is going to be looking for you, for whatever specific unique things that the authentic you brings to the table. And again, if that's not what you're presenting in the world, then they're not going to be able to see you or find you. And this happens on a very physical, tactical level, but also on an energetic level. It's, everything's energy. So there's so much that we can't see that is happening as a result of this as well. And, one thing that will help us with that is to explore our self-worth, of course, and start setting healthy boundaries. And that really, plays into the whole staying authentic. And it gives you, specific ways to prevent this overgiving or this people pleasing, so that you can show up as yourself. Like, for so long, like, I was always really opinionated and determined and strong-willed. And for much of my life, up until adolescence, it was just like I was rejected because of it. I was rejected because of it. And it was coming out a lot of times in unhealthy ways, but also like it just was shown to me so much that that's not acceptable, especially not from girls or women. And so I started to like push that down, and ultimately became someone who wasn't true to me, someone who was agreeable just so that I could have more volume, more quantity in my life, not really concerned about the quality, because it was like, if I looked popular, if I looked accepted, then everybody would accept me. And again, that's just a Band-Aid. It's temporary. It doesn't ever work long term. But the thing is like when I really started discovering my authentic truth, when I started uncovering and remembering who I really am and allowed those parts of me to start shining, yes, there were definitely some relationships that didn't make the cut, and that's fine. I'm much happier and freer without those things, which is another part of it, is it creates space. Saying no to what isn't aligned is going to create space for what is aligned. So that's okay, even though it can be painful in the beginning. But now that I do show up more authentically, like the people who are in my life love those things about me. I can't tell you how often I hear from people like, well, that's my favorite thing about you. You just say what you're thinking, or you tell it like it is. And again, for so long, I thought that was unacceptable. And then that's why people didn't like me. And it's true. There are people who don't like that about me, but those aren't my people. Those people aren't going to bring me the satisfaction, the joy, the fulfillment that I'm looking for anyway. I mean, you just got to think it makes sense. Doesn't it make sense that who you are naturally is going to be the right fit for the people who are meant to be around you, and the places and the things that are meant to surround you? You know, we can pretend all day long, but it's never going to last. It's never going to be fulfilling. So getting back to that core self is it's such an integral part of manifesting the life of our dreams. For one, it helps us to understand what really is the life of our dreams, and that's going to continue to evolve, just like our authentic self will. You know, it's not like you just discover this authentic self and then that's it, that's who you are. That you're always going to be growing and changing and evolving, so there's no fixed anything. But the key to that is just discovering what is not authentically you, and the more that you can unindoctrinate yourself, like deconstruct and discover what's not authentically you, the more your authentic self just has space to like come to the surface and to really show up as who you are. And you know, a big part of that again is just like, you know, ask your, am I saying yes when I really mean no? Am I seeking external validation instead of listening to my inner truth? You know, these are conversations that we need to have with ourselves, and to be really honest about the answers, because that's going to help lead us to the truth. Because again, saying no to the things that aren't aligned for you, it allows space for the things that are aligned for you. And just think about, like, in a relationship, say you're looking for a romantic partner and you fill the space, you keep, you know, wearing your mask and showing up in the way that you think that people want to see, and you find mates that are a match to that. And then the real person who you're meant to be with, or people you're meant to be with, are looking for you. They can't find you because, for one, you're wearing these masks, but also because that space is filled with someone else. So it just in any situation, in saying yes to plans or no to plans, to people, to any situation in your life, when you're saying no to what's not aligned, it leaves space for what is aligned. It also gives clarity to the universe to deliver what you're looking for, because you're like, no, that's not what I want. This is what I want. And if you don't know how to do that, I have a lot of videos on that. I will, keep posting about it. This is something I talk about often, but you can go on my backlog. I have a lot of videos on that about how to know what is a no and what is a yes. Specifically, one I posted recently about soul-led living is a great one for that. But just as a quick, if it's a no, you can, when you get embodied and you really start checking in with your body. I also did an episode on embodiment, so that could be really helpful as well. But when you really check into your body, if something is a no, you'll feel it. Like, you don't feel excited. It just feels kind of contracting or cold. And when something is a yes, you feel excited about it. It kind of lights you up and you get the spark and you're like, yes. Or it feels warm, if that's more how you feel things. But you can really check in with yourself. And a lot of times, depending on your human design, you'll also get like a verbal, like, I'm a sacral authority. So I literally will say things. And I've been doing this my whole life without realizing it until recently. But like, literally something will come out, somebody asks me something and there'll be this like, or that comes out without me even thinking about it. And now that I've learned that, I am a sacral authority, and that is my sacral speaking and saying what my soul truly wants, I listen to that. I will even be, like, somebody will invite me to something, or I'll be thinking about something and I'll just say, not even thinking about it. It's not even a mental response. It'll just come out of my body. I don't want to do that. I don't feel that way. I don't like that. When those things come out, listen to them. They're coming from your authentic self, from your soul. And, a lot of times we avoid this. We avoid being authentic because we're afraid of being judged or rejected. But the vulnerability of putting ourselves at risk of being judged and rejected, that does feel risky and that does feel scary. But that's what allows for deeper connections and more fulfilling relationships to form. Because when you take that chance and you put your truth out there, you're going to match with the people who align with that truth. And so what you're looking for is a life that's fulfilling, that you have inner peace and joy and you feel fulfilled. It's not all just about what makes you happy in the moment. There's so much more to life. Life is about experiencing the full range of emotions. And what's going to bring you the life of your dreams is what feels fulfilling, what feels peaceful, what feels joyful, right? And a lot of our obstacles that come up along our way are because we're saying yes to the wrong things and not saying no when really our soul wants to say no. And this applies to everything that you do. Like, who am I doing this for? What am I doing this for? Am I doing this for recognition? Am I doing this so that person will like me, or so this person will accept me, as opposed to like your pure expression of self? Because you have your own unique soul blueprint. You have your portion of source, who you are meant to be in this life, who your soul, and it's not like an obligation, like God wants you to do this and you have to do it to fulfill this purpose. It doesn't work like that. Your soul chose your body, your parents, your life that you're going to live, the overarching circumstances of this life and the experiences that you'll have. You chose that. Your soul chose that. So when I'm talking about in alignment, I'm talking about getting in alignment with that which your soul chose, because that's what's going to bring you the fulfillment. And we all have our own unique voice, our thing that people need to hear specifically from us, the thing that we're meant to add to the world. And so if you're making art, but you're making it based on what you think other people want to see, then it's not authentic. It's not fulfilling that purpose that your soul longs to fulfill. If you're writing a book, but you're trying to write a book that's going to be a bestseller instead of just fully expressing from your soul, then that's got a different signature to it, right? You may push and you may maneuver and make it a bestseller, but it's not going to bring you the fulfillment that it'll bring you if you're just expressing yourself. And it's not going to have the impact that it would have just by you expressing yourself. With anything that you create or put out into the world, even in a conversation, like if it's coming from your true self-expression, it's going to be serving the purpose that your soul chose, the purpose that you have in your life, not as an obligation, but as a choice, right? And, if you're getting watered down results, the same, like if you're writing a book or you're creating something and you're watering it down and not making it your full truth because you want to make it more palatable to people, or even your social media or whatever you're creating and you're trying to make it more palatable, you're going to get watered down results. If you're putting out watered down you're going to get watered down results. If you want the full strength results, then you're going to just really have to show up full strength. Like all of you, just be it and love it and don't hold back. When you hold back, not only are you depriving yourself of that experience of self-expression, but you're also depriving those who are meant to experience what you have. Like we all have our puzzle piece. We all have our piece that we contribute to the bigger picture. And if you're not giving your piece of the puzzle, then it's missing from the picture, right? So whatever it is that you have, that your soul has, that's unique to this world, or even if you're like, oh, but I don't have anything unique, maybe just the way that you say it is unique, just the way that you phrase it, because it comes from your energy and your life experience, is going to be easier for someone to hear than if they had heard the same principles from someone else, right? So, if you're depriving yourself of this self-expression, you're also depriving the world of what they're meant to receive from you, what we're meant to receive from you, right? And that's the thing. Again, being in purpose, it's not an obligation. It's not something you have to try to live in your purpose, or I need to find out my purpose so I can be in my purpose. When you are living authentically, you're being your authentic self, you're expressing your purpose is just a byproduct. It's a natural byproduct of it. It just happens. And like my current situation that I'm in, I, followed those internal yeses, which led me to going back to school. And here I am in my second semester, and I'm I just can't help but laugh about it, because suddenly I'm taking painting, I'm taking drawing, I'm taking acting and ceramics, things that when I think back to being 4 or 5 years old, when people asked me what I wanted to do when I grew up, these are the things that I wanted to do. And I didn't plan that out and be okay, I'm living authentically now. What did I want to do when I was a kid? Okay, let me sign up to do those things. No, I just followed the nudges, followed those internal prompts, and started living authentically. And then I look around and I'm well, holy shit. Here I am living my authentic life, living my truth, living what I've always wanted to do. And being here on YouTube and speaking out and using my intuitive voice and sharing my wisdom and sharing my life experience. That's something that's always come naturally to me and that I've always loved to do. So really, everything that I'm doing right now is a reflection of my authentic self, but it wasn't conjured or planned that way. It just happened as a byproduct of me being myself. And that's, it can be really intimidating to unmask, to start living in this authenticity, because we like our masks. We developed them on purpose. We like who we've developed. That's what we've gotten attached to, and we've been doing it for a long time. But again, being authentic doesn't mean that you're locked into this single identity forever. Authenticity is fluid. You can evolve. Please do evolve. Discover new facets of yourself, shift your expression over time. That's completely natural, and that's part of the process. The more you experience in life, the more it's going to shift who you are, right? So giving yourself permission to evolve, it will help with those fears. You're not going to be locked into anything. You don't have to have everything perfectly figured out. Just start expressing yourself authentically. Start discovering what is not your authentic self. And again, these things that you're looking for, these manifestations, this dream life, is going to happen as a byproduct of that. And the more you start to see that confirmation, the more it just builds that muscle and gives you the confidence to keep showing up authentically. The more you start building authentic connections and friendships, they're so gratifying and so fulfilling, the easier it is to say no to the ones that aren't, because it just doesn't even compare. The feeling doesn't even compare, right? And you start to care less and less about others' perceptions of you and the judgment of other people. It happens over time. It doesn't happen overnight. Be patient with yourself. It's a process, right? And again, this role of intuition and inner guidance, it's so important, because that inner guidance is coming from your soul, the core of who you are, your unique soul blueprint. And so the more we tune into that intuition, which is what so much of my content is about, the more we tune into our bodies and our soul and our inner guidance, the more it leads us to these places where we really want to be, right? So it's important, when you're making decisions and you're building attachments, to really, really tune into how you feel. Not what you think, how you feel. And I go into that process of how we got into our heads, and I believe the embodiment video. So I'm going to keep referring to that, because I just released 3 videos that they were from my podcast. I have a podcast, Leaving the Church to Find God, but they're just such a foundational part of all the work that I do, that I recently posted them. It's the last 3 videos that I posted. And speaking videos, not meditations, but they do have meditations that accompany them. But I post them because it's just so important, and I strongly, if any of this is resonating with you or feels like you want to know more, I encourage you to go back to those videos, because I really go deeper into these principles there and into the how-to, right? But I am going to give you some practical tools. Don't worry, I'm not going to leave you hanging. But yeah, tune into how you feel before making these decisions, and the more you do that, the more it's going to help lead you to this authenticity and lead you to this dream life that you're trying to create, that you're manifesting. Also, authenticity is not a one-time choice, right? It's a continuous practice. It's one choice after one choice after one choice. It's a continuous, every choice that you make builds on this life of authenticity, consistently showing up as yourself, which sometimes means making choices that feel harder, but it's choose your hard, right? This might be uncomfortable or hard in the beginning, but if it leads to a fulfilling, happy, peaceful, joyful life, it's worth it. It's an investment that you're making in your life, right? So again, like whatever you're creating, whatever you're putting out into the world, in your friendships, in your relationships, in your art, in your work, it's going to have more of an impact when you're doing it authentically, and what you put out in the world is what you get back. So, that what you put out into the world is what you get back. If you're doing a course on something, what you put into it is what is going to match what you get out of it, right? When you're in a relationship, what you put into it is going to match what you get out of it. So it's important to know and to be mindful and to be purposeful about what you're putting out into the world, and not just go into these program beliefs and behaviors that are from our mask that we've been living into for so long. I'm going to give you some affirmations. I'm going to give you a minute to say them with me. If you would like, you can say them silently to yourself or out loud. First, I trust the wisdom of my higher self and allow my true essence to guide me. I trust the wisdom of my higher self and allow my true essence to guide me. Deep breath. It is safe to express my truth, and I am worthy of being seen and heard. It is safe to express my truth, and I am worthy of being seen and heard. I release any fear of judgment and embrace the freedom of being who I truly am. Feel these things in your body as you say them. Don't just repeat the words, feel it. Let it become a part of you. I release any fear of judgment and embrace the freedom of being who I truly am. My uniqueness is a gift that enriches my life and the life of others. The lives of others. My uniqueness is a gift that enriches my life and the lives of others. I am naturally aligned with my purpose when I show up as my real self. I am naturally aligned with my purpose when I show up as my real self. Every day, I choose to speak, create, and live in harmony with my deepest truth. Every day, I choose to speak, create, and live in harmony with my deepest truth. I want to go back to that. I am naturally aligned with my purpose when I show up as my real self. That's what I'm talking about when I talk about it being a byproduct. When this dream life that you're creating, that you're manifesting, being a byproduct of you living as your authentic self. It's because your authentic self is naturally aligned with your truest desires. Just makes sense, right? Like, why would we be born desiring something that we don't have the capacity to achieve, to be, do, and have? It doesn't make sense. That's not how the universe works. That's not how life works. We're born with everything. That we're born being exactly who we're meant to be in order to be, do, and have everything that we desire. I'm also going to leave you with some journaling prompts in case you want to take this further. I'm going to try to get tech savvy enough to put them up on the screen for you. We'll see. If you want to reflect on this further. First, in what areas of your life do you feel you might be wearing a mask? What beliefs or fears are behind that mask? And how might you gently challenge them to show more of your authentic self? Like, how can you challenge those masks so that you can be more authentic? To follow that, I want you to think of a recent time that you felt disconnected from your true nature. How can you shift your perspective or take a new action so that your next choice reflects your authenticity and values? All right, my loves, I'm going to leave you with that. I'm so proud of you. Thank you for being here. You're doing this work, and it will continue to pay off in bigger and better, more compounding ways in your life. I can't wait to see and to know about what's happening for you as you live more into your authentic truth. Please drop some info in your comments. Let me know, how is it showing up? How are your manifestations coming true as you live in your authentic truth? Maybe what desires did you think you have that changed? What new desires do you have as a result of being your authentic self, of allowing your authentic self to shine? through. What information does that have for you? I just would love to, I love hearing from you guys. So any time you reach out, it just makes my heart so happy. And in the video I'm about to put down below is a meditation to kind of lead you further into this work. Thank you. I love you. Have a wonderful day.